All right, welcome, guys. This is Breakfast with the Brand, the number one podcast in the world for entrepreneurs and leaders who want to take their brands to the next level. I am your host, Junior Frederick, and I have with me the man himself, Mr. Bobby Stealth. Bobby, what's up? How you doing?
Doing amazing, Junior. Doing amazing this morning. I feel like I'm growing up. You know, you ever feel like you're growing up? Kind of like when you turn 13 and like the things you used to do when you were 12 aren't cool anymore. It's like you're only 1 year older, but 13 and 12 is such a big difference. That's how I feel in business right now. It's also how I feel in marriage and things of that nature. It's like, okay, I'm still relatively young in my marriage to a degree, still relatively young in business to a degree. I don't have decades behind me, but I've got so many years behind me and I've learned so many lessons that I'm like, hmm, I'm graduating. I'm graduating. So that's how I feel today. I was reading a book called The E Myth, and it just talks about entrepreneurial myths and different things like that. And one of the things that stuck out to me was the author said, one of the biggest mistakes entrepreneurs make when they get into systems or they try to figure out systems thinking is they build a system that does not correspond with reality. In other words, he was saying that they will build something that sounds good, sounds real good, but it has no bearing on reality. And I thought that that was a very mature thing to say. And the fact that I read that book multiple times and it just hit me like a ton of bricks yesterday. Going through the I'm growing up. How about you, Junior? How you feeling?
That's an interesting way to put it, Bobby. Feel like you're growing up. That's actually a very that's a very good thing. That's a very good thing to say. Personally, I feel today I feel pretty good. Definitely in that sort of systematic mood. And I've been studying a lot of Alex Hormozy over the last 2 days. And every time I sort of go back to some of those videos, it just reminds me of the importance of critical thinking, the importance of, systematic thinking, which ironically is what we're talking about today.
That's right.
Um, that is pretty good. I feel pretty good.
Yeah. So I'll kind of introduce the topic before we go to the break, kind of just to preface it. And then when we come back, we can dive right into it. But a lot of you all that are watching this right now did not get into business to work for the rest of your life. You got into business to work really hard now in most cases so that you could build something for the future. Now, we're not saying you're going to stop working, but we're saying that the goal isn't to work endlessly, hours upon hours for the rest of our lives. Like, that's not really anybody's goal that's looking to build a business. In most cases, we're trying to build something that can give us our time back. We're trying to build something that says, when I'm sleeping, it's working. When I'm older and I want to prioritize my time differently, its sole priority is to generate money. Like, we're trying to build something that helps us live better, live fuller lives. And in order to do that, we've got to build what's known as a business system. So, believe it or not, the statistics are 30% of businesses successfully exit, which means out of 10 businesses that are built, only three, and they say it's actually closer to 25%, but for simplicity purposes, three of the 10 will actually exit their businesses. So that means the other seven will build businesses, run those businesses, and have nothing to show for it after the business dissolves. That's pretty wild. But it's the reality because not too many people understand business systems or systematic thinking or even critical thinking. So today we're going to be talking about that from a very simplistic perspective. Like, okay, I'm not an engineer. Great. I'm not an accountant. All right, great. I'm not a software developer. You don't need to be. But what you do have to be is someone who can think about your business in such a way that you can put people into the system and the system still produce results. That's all we're talking about. Is, do you have a way of doing things where if you do it, the result comes out good. If someone else does it, the result comes out exactly the same way that you did, and so on and so forth. Much like a McDonald's cheeseburger. No matter who's doing it, 15-year-old, 16-year-old, 30-year-old, 50-year-old, that burger is going to come out the same way as long as the individuals preparing it follow the instructions. So that's systematic thinking. That's systems in a nutshell. And that's what we're going to be diving into: the perspective, the thinking, the importance of it. So that not only do you build a business, not only do you build a brand, but you build a system for generating results that you can later live off of, be proud of, and pass down to future generations. Junior, if you don't have anything, you can definitely take us to the break.
There's slow growth, and then there's scale. There's incremental growth, and then there's exponential growth. What I want to talk to you about is adding a zero to you and experiencing exponential scale. Incremental growth says 1 plus 1 is 2. Exponential growth says 1 plus 0 is 10. Incremental growth says 2 plus 2 is 4. Exponential growth says 5 plus 0 is 50. Guys, listen, when you add a zero to you, you can add a zero to the marketplace. You can add a zero to the value that you bring. So you can add a zero to your family, add a zero to your legacy. This is what we're talking about. We're not talking about incremental, we're talking about exponential. I always say that business is a spiritual game. Just imagine when you combine your skills, your values, your abilities, your talents to something bigger than you, something greater than you, something like the power of exponential. That is adding a zero. Add a zero to your competence, add a zero to your confidence. This is about adding a zero in your life, your value, your industry, and your mission. Let's grow. Confidence is key. Most of the people I work with, they have the education, the experience, and the expertise. We call those the 3 E's. But they're looking for the 3 I's: the income, the impact, and the independence. And I always tell them that the bridge between the 3 E's and the 3 I's is marrying your confidence to your competence. Most of the people I work with, again, have all of the competence in the world. What I help them do is get the confidence.
All right, guys. So we are back. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Breakfast with the Brand. If you are now tuning in, go ahead and put your flames in the comments and let us know where you're listening in from. So, Bobby, let's get into it, man. Today's systems.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And I know that you're a systems thinker, so I'm definitely excited to see your perspective on some of the things we talk about. But before we dive into that, I just want you guys to know that what you just saw was a system. Those videos was a part of a system. How? Because StreamYard is a system. So you got platforms that help facilitate the automation or execution of the system. And then you've got the system itself, which is the process by which things are done. So a system is nothing more than multiple functions working together to produce a end result. So we have Streamlit working as a part of the system. That's one function. StreamYard's function is to broadcast. And then Junior has a function. Junior's function in this instance is to click on the right video at the right time to get it going. That's his part of the process. Shaan's role in the system is to actually record the video and make sure that it looks good and all those different things. So I wanted to share that with you because no matter if it's Junior, Shaan, myself, or someone else on the team, StreamYard is going to do its job. Shaan did his job, and whoever clicks the button does their job. The video is going to show up the same way, like clockwork. And that's a system. That means Junior doesn't have to be the one doing it. I could do it. Shaan could do it. Anyone on the team could do it. And it's going to look the exact same. The impact is going to be the same. Getting the brand in front of people that haven't seen it before so that they can create an affinity with it and realize if it's for them or not. That's the objective of this, is just to get it in front of the people. So as you guys are going through this, just pay attention to the subtleties. So Junior, my first question for you is, when did you start realizing the importance of systems? So did you always think that systems were important, or did you get into business thinking that you could one man band this thing and you just did everything by yourself?
Bobby, I actually didn't even think of that. I mean, when you're a beginner entrepreneur, you don't. In any case, I don't know about other people, but I didn't think about that kind of stuff. I'm thinking about how can I go to the next level? How can I get from zero to five figures? How can I get from five figures to six figures? So you're not necessarily thinking about the system, but then once you get to a point where you're working, 12, 16 hours a day and you're literally doing everything you can do, at some point you're like, I can't do anymore. There has to be a better way to sort of do this. And that's sort of the point I got to, where I was working, 7 days a week, 12 hours, between 12 to 16 hours. I'm like, hold on, there has to be a different way to go about doing that. So to answer your question, I think it starts by, somebody doing the unscalable. So doing the unscalable first, and then figuring out, okay, now that I'm literally maxing out all of my time, what can I do to make this stuff a little bit easier, a little bit more scalable? I hear a lot of people talking about, oh, I'm working smart, but check this out. The person that's working hard and smart will always beat the person that's only working smart. So for me, you have to sort of do everything you can, right? That's if you're in the beginning stage. If you're an advanced entrepreneur, you've already mastered the fundamental skills, then you don't have to sort of go through the motions again. But if you're just starting off, I see a lot of value in doing everything you can, sort of learning the ropes. And then once you get to that point where, you know, you really can't go anymore, you really can't do anything else, now is the time to start thinking about how can I make this scalable. So for me, when I got to that point, that's when I started really thinking about systems. But before that, I wasn't really thinking about it.
You know, this is really interesting, Junior, because there are three pillars of business that I teach to students that are looking to get into entrepreneurship. So, for those that don't know, my background is in entrepreneurship with a concentration in finance and economics. So, I know all about the systems from the finance side, from the economic side, and from the entrepreneurial side. And that's what we're actually taught. So, when I went to school, it was pretty much engineering for business. So, how engineers learn how to architects learn how to engineer buildings. Mechanical engineers learn how to engineer, obviously, engines and things of that nature. Entrepreneurs, if you go to school, so I didn't go to school for business management. That's different. Entrepreneurs go to school for engineering business models. And when we engineer business models, there are 9 core components to a business model. You've got the value proposition, you've got the key activities, the key resources, the key personnel, the cost structure, the revenue structure, or revenue streams rather, the distribution channels, the customer relationship management system and approach, and then the customer segmentation, or the different degrees of the market that you plan to engage with. So that's what we learn to develop when in school for me on the entrepreneurial side. So when I teach this, I teach it to people in 3 pillars. So you got sales and marketing. That's one pillar. That is what we call money in. That's the money in pillar. Okay? Because sales and marketing is the only thing that brings money in. Then you've got operations. That's the second pillar. That's fulfillment and distribution. So this is how you fulfill your promises to the marketplace. And then you've got finance, accounting, and tax. And this is the finance structure. So if there's no money flowing in the business, through the business, and out of the business, there is no business. Like there's no LLC anywhere. There's no for-profit entity without money moving. So the finance, accounting, and tax is the management of money moving in the business. So those are the 3 pillars that you need to have systems for when you're building a business. So it's interesting that Junior said, hey, man, I didn't even have a system. I was in this thing trying to figure out how much money I could make, how quickly I could make it. And once I got to 12 hours a day, then I said, okay, there's got to be an easier way. And most people I included, and I went to school for this stuff, right, did the same thing. But what I did differently was I kind of had an advantage there, Junior, is I actually had the textbooks too. I was like, okay, I know what this is supposed to look like. And then I was able to say, okay, what I'm doing isn't what they're saying I should be doing. But I still did the practical thing because the textbook tells you perfect world textbook answers. But the real world says You don't have this, you don't have that, you don't have this, you need to figure it out. So my benefit was that I knew what right looked like, but I also had what reality looked like. So what I want to give you guys is some very simple systems for these three pillars of business. And then I'm going to ask Junior the next question to get a perspective from more of a marketing side, because he's a guru in that area. Definitely someone that I respect as far as opinion and best practices are concerned. So here you go. When it comes to marketing, some of the best funnels are some of the best systems you can have is a funnel. So a funnel, some say is for sales. I think it is, but I like to think of it from marketing standpoint, because we like to say top of the funnel, then bottom of the funnel. So when you have top of the funnel, you're pretty much trying to get people into or get people introduced to. Do they know you? All of that is top of the funnel work activity, top of the funnel activity, meaning how many people know you're doing business. In other words, a more technical way of saying that is how big is your market? So the top of the funnel is the TAM, the total addressable market. The SOM is the bottom of the funnel, the serviceable obtainable market. How much of that market you can actually capture and service. Okay. So one of the best things you can have systems wise in your marketing is a funnel, a process of getting people in front of your brand and moving them from introduced to the brand to in love with the brand to trusting the brand to willing to do business with the brand. So that's marketing, funnels, and system. Another great system is for sales. So again, that first pillar is sales and marketing. So marketing, funnels. For sales, scripts. Now that's a pretty simple system there. A script, doing the same fact-finding questions the same way, doing the same qualifying questions the same way, doing the same process of presenting the offer and handling the objections. That is a system, because you can give that same script to any person, and as long as they follow the script, the outcome should be the same, resulting in a close. Now, obviously, some people will be more experienced than others. Some people will embody the script better than others, but as long as they are executing the script, they should be successful. And that's a sales system. Now, granted, there are bigger systems than that, right, in sales, but these are getting you started. So put a flame in the chat or a one in the chat if this is good for you. Like if these are giving you some thoughts of these early systems that you can build that don't cost money. Like the funnel, marketing funnel, that doesn't cost you any money. That just says get in front of people, have a system for getting in front of them, meaning a process, and then have a system for creating an affinity with them. That doesn't cost you any money. A sales script doesn't cost you any money. Do the sales, annotate the words and the objections that you have, and put together a script for it. Doesn't cost you any money. Moving down to operations. Now, when it comes to operations, one of the things that you want to think about is capacity. Capacity. So how many people can I service with this approach? So when you're doing something like one-to-one coaching, if you've only got 5 hours in your day to actually spend coaching, and you're only coaching 3 days out of the week, then you could probably only coach 3 to 5 clients, give or take, because you're going to spend, say, an hour to 2 hours with the one client, and that takes up one day. And then let's say you serve another client the next day and another client the next day. So that's 3 clients. Now, if that is your process to one-on-one, that means your capacity for servicing them is 3. So that's a combination of fulfillment and distribution. So let's talk about this very briefly. So when we move from fulfillment to distribution, we say I could do a one-to-many model, which means I coach multiple people on one call at one time in one place. And that's changing the dynamic of the capacity and the distribution, because instead of a one-on-one Zoom, I'm doing a one-to-many Zoom. So I'm increasing the capacity. So when you're thinking about operational systems, the main thing is how many people can you serve, and can you fulfill that service to them effectively? Lastly, you've got finance, accounting, and tax, and I'm going to be very brief here. One of the easiest ways to do this is Excel. and QuickBooks. So if you don't have a QuickBooks account or you don't have a zero account, those are all a TurboTax account. These are all accounts that you can have to track your expenses and your revenue. Square is another way to track this. So pretty much what you're looking for in the finance, accounting, and tax space is you're looking for a method of tracking money in and money out. That's the first system. Money in, money out. The next system is profit. The next system is cash flow. And then the next system is equity. But the first system, money in, money out. All right. So those are just some things that you want to think about when you're building your systems or you want to think about systems. Junior, from what I've said so far, is there anything that you would like to touch on from the systems side on any of those three pillars before we dive deeper into marketing systems and dive deeper into your speciality in the direct marketing space?
Yeah, I mean, I would say just, it's easy to get caught up in systems. My sort of very rudimentary way of putting it would be just repeat successful actions. Just repeat successful actions. So, like, you have no business building a system if you've not had success. So, we see entrepreneurs all the time. I need to build a system. I need to build a system. Well, if you're not making sales, you have nothing to systematize around. So, business has different stages. So, you have customer attraction, customer retention, customer ascension, you have automation, and then you have systematization. If you've not mastered attraction, retention, ascension, automation, then you probably shouldn't build a business system because you would be systematizing the wrong thing. So I would say, just try to get success. So do the unscalable in the beginning so you can then scale later on. Does that make sense? Because a lot of people might get caught up in a system that's like saying, I don't want to do this because I cannot build $100 million business when you haven't built $1 million business. It doesn't make sense. It's not based in reality. Like just like the E-Myth said, it's not based in reality. You cannot build a system around something that's not successful. So if you've been able to attract and convert a client, your job should be, okay, what did I do to attract that client? What can I do to retain that client? Okay, or what am I doing to retain that client? And how could I repeat those successful actions to get another client and retain that client in the very same way?
Yeah.
And then once you figure that out, then you could build a system and processes around that.
Yeah, Junior. And I know we're probably going to go to a break soon. I can say something to that as well because I think that's great. So it's it's wise, I would say. It's very, very wise to get professional help when you're trying to do something like this. So what do I mean by that? There is the easy way and the hard way. Has anybody ever heard that? Have your parents ever told you that? Like you can do it the easy way and the hard way, or the hard way. Either way, you're doing it my way, right? The easy way or the hard way, but either way, you're doing it my way. That's business. Like you can build a business the easy way or you can build a business the hard way, but either way, you're not going to be able to break the laws, the infutable laws of business, such as providing value. Like you can't break that law and be successful, such as treating people right. Like you can get over on some people for a period, but you won't be able to sustain. So the reason I bring that up is because there's a very simple word. It's not actually a word, but it's an acronym. KPIs, key performance indicators. Now, very simple. A KPI is like a dashboard feature. And your system, without going deep, like I'm just trying to give you guys some surface level insights. Your system is designed to drive KPIs. And KPIs are designed to tell you if you're on course or not, if you're on track. So you can build a system, so to speak, without having all of the experience, but you need to know somebody that has the experience. So I remember when I went to Branded Like a Leader, and Junior was like, hey, don't try to do anything without hitting 100. He was like, if you don't do 100 DMs, like you're not going to have enough information. What he gave you when he told us that was a KPI, a key performance indicator. He's saying, if you do not hit 100, then there is no way that we can really determine what performance are key or not, what activities are key to your performance or not. Now, again, I'm not going to go any deeper than that. I just wanted to share with you guys that when you do this right, branded like a leader in different programs like that, what they really have built into them are KPIs. They have metrics. They have things that you need to achieve in order to be able to determine if you're moving in the right direction or not. And most people build businesses without KPIs. And that's not necessarily the end of the world. It just means you're doing it the hard way. So there's the easy way and there's the hard way. The easy way is to know the KPI and to take action moving toward that KPI and then iterate and improve on whatever performance activities you're engaging in. If you don't have KPIs, you're doing random things, hoping something works, not knowing what should work. And then if you stumble onto something that does work, trying to repeat that action is nearly impossible because you don't know what you did in the first place. So it's a very interesting space.
Yeah, guys, we're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, more on systems. Stay tuned.
I said Shaan Ride East. I'm proud. I said Shaan Ride East. Leadership is not the brand they made for us.
Listen, he brought fire, heat. He didn't hold back.
20 years down the line, what I could sell, why not serve first? Service over salary. Branding like a leader closes the gap for people who want branding. Speaking like a leader closes the gap for people who are nervous about speaking. If Steve Jobs would have speculated, we wouldn't have Apple.
He changed lives. He helped people open up their business and start their business.
We are the brand. Some people say, Shaan, should I quit my job? Mentally, yes.
As a speaker too, to be able to learn from him and watch him and you know, game respects game. And I want to have that much game someday.
The right client, pay $500,000 for what you do. You have to be bold in your beliefs.
He has been an amazing asset to this event and a pleasure to work with. Very captivating, collaborative, worked very well with the audience.
I want to help you. Put a 0 behind your number, right?
The session was great. How he is online, virtually, he is even more phenomenal in person.
Be the face of change that you want to see. Stop asking questions and start giving demands.
The entire team has just been absolutely incredible. They are a joy to work with. They go above and beyond.
Give yourself a round of applause. Yes, yes, yes.
All right, guys, so welcome back. We're talking about systems. Let's just do a quick energy check. Put some flames in the chat if you're learning something this morning. I think we're going to get a little bit into the business systems. Is that correct, Bobby?
That's right. That's right. That marketing side, Junior, because I know you're a wealth of information and I want to do the people justice by asking you some good questions. So they can walk away with some insights.
Sure. Let's get into it, man.
Excellent. So, Junior, I know that you've built several systems on the back end, from email automations to customer fulfillment journeys and customer experience journeys, like UX, all types of stuff, websites. Like, you're definitely one of those guys that get it. You get the systematic approach and you're good at it. So one of the things that I'd like to ask you, for the entrepreneur that's getting started, for the individual that may not fancy themselves as a systems thinker, what should they be looking for in a systems thinker? And I want to clarify this question. So everybody's not going to be able to do everything in their business. They're just not. Like, some people just aren't built to be systems guys, and they have to find that system woman or that systems guy to help them. So in your experience, what qualities do you feel like entrepreneurs should be looking for in systematic people, in systematic thinkers, to help them build the right team?
That's a very big question you asked me there. So I'm gonna answer that in a couple different ways. So you could look at it from a skills perspective. If you're looking to hire somebody that is proficient in systems, number one thing you could be looking for is experience. So what has this person actually done? Okay. What have they done, right? That's related to your niche. What results do they have? Like what can they show you in terms of what they've done, right? That could actually, you know, help you move the business forward. Now, if you're looking to build a team, that's something that's completely different. So when we talk about team, Bobby, we start getting into stuff like values, right? So a lot of the intangible, non-skill related things. So let me just clarify the question. Are you referring to somebody like, let's say somebody comes in, they build systems for you, or are you referring to like building an actual team, like having a team member? Because those are two different things. Those could be two very different things. Because I could come in and build your system for you, but doesn't necessarily mean I'm part of your team, like you're in a team. That's completely different. That's like like a one-off type gig type thing. Okay,
Hmm.
but it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm part of your team. So let me just clarify the question before we go a little bit deeper into that.
I would say people aren't building their teams just yet. So let's keep it if they were to hire someone to build something. However, I recommend that you get a team member as soon as possible because you can grow with them. But I think most people at this stage they're just looking to get a funnel built. They're just looking to get a landing page built. They're just trying to get on.
Yeah. Well, some of the elements that you're looking for somebody who is very knowledgeable, like in that particular niche. Different people have different areas or specialties. They have different niches that they specialize in. So you're looking for somebody who has done work perhaps for some influencers, or they've done work for other reputable people that you know of, that you know how good their work is. Because literally, if so, let's say I build systems for, let's just say, the top performer in X industry, right? If you literally go to that person's system, then you'd be able to see examples of my work because the work is literally right there. So if you could reference that person's work very easily, then it's probably working. So that's how you know. Like people need to be able to show you the work that they've done, and they need to be able to talk with you and to open your eyes, to have those sort of aha moments with you when they talk with you, so you could sort of understand, okay, so this is what I do, this is what I don't do, this is why I've been getting the results that I've been getting. So they need to be able to explain, you know, show you where you are, as well as show you the necessary steps that you need to get to exactly where you want to get to. And that's how you know that they're pretty good. You'll be able to tell immediately once you start talking to them.
That's pretty good, Junior. That's pretty good because I think that was one of the most expensive things that I had to learn early on is that hiring the wrong people means you have to hire that skill set again. So I
Yeah.
remember getting websites built. I remember getting funnels built. I remember getting all kinds of stuff built and not thinking in the way that Junior was just explaining. And another thing is, I just want to get your perspective, Junior. How do you feel about agencies? So some people hire out an agency and they've had, great experiences, but some people haven't had great experiences. Do you think there's a benefit from hiring a freelancer versus hiring a agency? Are there any benefits or cons?
Yeah, the benefit of an agency gives you scale. So agencies you could normally, especially if you're in like agencies in like a country like the Philippines, or let's say like Pakistan, one of these countries, it allows you to get a lot more work done for less money.
Mm,
So, but the caveat with that is you have common issues with agencies are communication challenges. Um, they may not necessarily specialize in what you do because they work with so many different people. So there's a specialty type challenge there. Also, the quality may not always be consistent because remember, you may be working with a team of, let's say, 80 designers. So let's say you hire like a graphic design agency. You may be working with a team of like 80 designers. Well, guess what? All 80 designers are not going to be as good. So they're like, this guy's not gonna be as good as the next guy, and the next guy's not gonna be as good as this guy. So sometimes you could get inconsistency when it comes to the output or when it comes to the product. So those are just some of the common things you have to deal with. But if you could find sort of like your team with an agency, then it works out pretty well. With a freelancer, freelancers have you know the advantage is you get it done. Obviously, there's tax advantages, stuff like that. But with the freelancer is also working for many other people as well. Now, because they're one person, sometimes you could have deliverability challenges. They may tell you, well, I'll give it to you on Wednesday, Bobby. Wednesday may come, you may not receive it. So you always have, these sort of little challenges. But you could also find freelancers that are very good at what they do, who can deliver when they say they can deliver. And if you on your end could manage your clients' expectations, then you could use freelancers 100%.
Wow. I think this is really, really exciting because revenue sales, man, that's like one of the biggest challenges that entrepreneurs face in the early days, because obviously that's the only thing that keeps you in business when you're first getting started is, do you have enough money coming in before you run out of money? And when you can freelance or outsource work, it changes the game. It changes the game. So my first business, I was a coach. Yes. I had consulting services. Yes. But I was outsourcing bookkeeping and tax. That's exactly what I was doing. I was getting like a 85% return off of my accounting services and tax services. And that was simply because I was outsourcing it for maybe $20, $25 an hour, but I was able to charge like $100 to $200 an hour for the work, simply because of our brand's positioning. So one of the things that I love about outsourcing and about taking the systematic approach, when you have that type of service-based business or that type of product-based businesses are great too, because that's all distribution. The hurdle that you're overcoming there is logistics. If you can get it here cheap enough, or if you can get it to your client cheap enough, as long as you can get it to them at a profit, then hey, as long as there's demand, you've got cash. So I love that model as well. So the next thing that I would say, Junior, would be, what's the first system that you would recommend someone getting down pat? Is it a sales system? Is it a marketing system? What would be one of the best things someone could do first?
The first system in a business is always attraction. But funny enough, Bobby, I would say attraction, but I'll put a caveat to that. Normally, I would just say, start getting leads coming in the door, start selling your stuff. But I'm gonna say half and half. So half of the game is like selling what you have, but the other half is making sure the product is right, because you get the highest leverage on product. Now let's talk about it. The product, the product is the one thing that all of your customers receive. So if you think about it, most businesses, Bobby, the reason why they don't get to six figures is because there are people come to their stores. When I say stores, I mean online stores as well. Now, everybody, if you have a business online, you have an online store. Okay. If you sell a course, you have an online store. So there are people come through their stores, buy their stuff, that never buy again.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just imagine for a second here. What would be better? If you mastered attraction, you had 10 customers come in. Let's say you service them for, let's say, 3 months. At the end of 3 months, you have to go and find another 10 customers to fulfill again. Okay. So meaning all customers dropped off, or let's say maybe 8 customers dropped off, 2 stayed. Okay, now you have to find another 10 to replace them, another 8 to replace the 8 that fell off. Or would it be better to have the same 10 customers that you started with, or that you sold service to for the 3 months, you have them starting the second 3 months with you. So when you sell the next 10, you have 20 instead of having 10. That comes from products. So that's how businesses sort of compound and scale. If you look at Netflix, let's look at Netflix for a second. If you have a Netflix subscription, put a number 1 in the chat. If you have a Netflix subscription that you've been paying for quite some time. So maybe you've been paying for Netflix for a couple months, maybe a couple years. Just put a number 1 in the chat. And if you have like Amazon Prime, stuff like that, that you pay for every month, just put a number 1. I want to show you something. So Bobby, if you look at, let's say, businesses like Facebook, Netflix, stuff like that, the way that these businesses scale is that the users, like their retention is through the roof. Like their retention is through the roof. So every month, Facebook has a few more users than it did the next month or the previous month. Every month, Netflix has a few more users than they did the previous month. This means that the revenue is compounding and then they're always growing that way. That's because the product is good. The product delivers on the promise. So if you're an entrepreneur, okay, and you're literally just starting off, I can guess 99% of the time, your product is most likely not delivering on the promise that you're selling. That's just how it is. Your job should be, how can I get some people through the door? Or even if I have to work for free, well, how can I get some people coming in to the business? How can I refine the product and make it so sticky that anybody who buys from me wants to buy again? So that when you do sell, instead of having 10 customers and then the next month starting the month with 2, you can start the next month with 10 and then compound the 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10. And then you scale a lot faster that way. You're always growing because let's say you made 100,000 the previous month from the 10 customers. The second month, not only do you make another 100,000 from the next 10, Bobby, you made another 100,000 from the previous 10 that you already had. And then the third month, you made 200,000 from the first 20 you already had. Then you make 100K again from the next set of 10. And then that's literally how they're scaling. So Netflix, if you look at the revenue is going up and up and up and up. And it's continually compounding and it's continually scaling because they have to keep selling more customers to produce business. Does that make sense? So to the entrepreneur, I would say, try to get a couple people coming in. All right. But once you have people that are testing and trying out your product, try to improve the product. Like spend a couple months, if necessary, just improving your product so that it is so sticky that once you get a customer once, you can increase what we call LTV. But just to make it simple, I'll just say you could basically increase the amount of time and money that a customer spends with you so that when you do get a customer, you're maximizing the lifetime value. So instead of you getting one customer and making 5K, you get one customer and you make 50K. Now, check this out. You don't have to spend, once you've attracted that customer, you don't have to spend more to acquire that customer again because they're already acquired, as opposed to spending more to acquire new customers that have lower LTV or they spend less time and less money in the business. It doesn't make sense. So I would say focus on product. So product is the system. The first one should be attraction. How do you get customers through the door? But after that, to me, the next one should be the product, which will be retention.
Yeah, Junior, that's incredible. That's how we built our business. Honestly, we used a slightly different model. It was but it was still subscription in general. So what Junior just described is what we call a subscription-based model. We also call that a freemium model. But a freemium model is slightly different from a subscription-based model, but they're very similar. So a freemium model is a model that provides the service for free and then converts the free user to a paid user and then ascends them. So many of you all that have Netflix right now got Netflix on a 7-day or 14-day free trial. Am I right? Of course. right? So many of you all got a 14-day free trial. If you did get a free trial, after you watched some of the content, you said, wow, this is incredible. And then they gave you a join now deal. So for the next 3 months, your rate will be 7xx, or for the next year, your rate is this. And then after a year, your premium rate changes. The same thing happens with cable companies. But once you purchase it and you get the 1 year at the reduced rate, then the rate goes up to the actual rate. And but you've already created a lifestyle now that incorporates Netflix into your day-to-day activities. So at this point, we call this customer lock-in based on subscription. So that's a freemium model. They bring you in for free, and then they give you various premiums to ascend you. So in Netflix, you get library for the first tier, and then you get another access of libraries to the next tier, and then up and up and up, and that's the premium there, and that's the ascension as well. But with the razor blade company, I forget the company that started this, but it's very common, and they would pretty much sell you they would
Talking
give.
about Dollar Shave Club.
Say that one more time.
Is it Dollar Shave Club?
I'm not sure if it's the Dollar Shave Club, but what they did back in the day was they would give you the razor for free. And once they give you the razor for free, you would have to purchase the razors, which were disposable. And they would put the disposable razor into the subscription model where it came out to you regularly. So you have this razor handle that you cannot use without a razor blade. So that was another way of them putting together a model. So I'm just sharing this with you guys as the audience so you can think about different things you could do. So if you wanted to do something like this, yes, Gillette did it for a while, but I don't think they were the first ones to do it. There was a company that did it first, but yes. And pretty much something that you can think about is just how you wanted to do that. Did you want to have a subscription-based model? But that's how we got started. But what we did is we did high ticket. And just high ticket simply means month-to-month payments on a single product. And now other people's, that's a version of high ticket. I don't want to say that's the only high ticket, but the approach that we took was the same approach that you would see at a car dealership. We've got this $20,000 car, and we can make it affordable for you through financing options. So these are all different things that you guys can do. But we are definitely coming to the top of the hour, and I love that breakdown, Junior, of how Netflix makes money, because it's a great, great model for explaining attraction and retention, and then getting into the ascension. But just if you got the first two down, you can build a six-figure business with just solid attraction and solid retention. If they're obviously paying, you can do six figures with that, with those two things alone.
Yeah, and Bobby, when you talk about a funnel, that is a funnel. Just so everybody knows, that is an excellent funnel. Excellent, and the reason why it's excellent is because you're not thinking about it. I tell people all the time, like the more you have to think about something, the more your customers have to think about what you put in front of them, the less likely they are to buy. That is what we call friction in marketing. So a good funnel feels natural. It feels like, and I'll give you a funnel right now that everybody is going through that they don't even know, and it'll blow your mind. So put it in the chat. How many of you, when you go to the grocery store, so if you went to the grocery store in your town or your county today, when you walk into the grocery store, it's normally arranged so that maybe the vegetables are somewhere to the right hand side when you walk in. Okay, all of the important stuff like the meats, all of the cold stuff is arranged somewhere towards the ends of the business. So maybe in the corners, the toiletries are most likely to the other end, right, of the store, right in the corner. You have the breads somewhere in the corner. Like all of the important stuff you actually need is all around the corners. Like just put it in the chat if most of you know what I'm talking about. That's a funnel. You know why it's arranged that way, Bobby? It's arranged that way because it is proven that if you put all of the important things in the corners, like the vegetables, the toiletries, the meats, the frozen stuff, people will literally go around the store. Put it in the chat. How many of you, every single time you go to the grocery store, you go all around the store? You literally go all around before you go to the cashier. You go all the way around. It could be a big mall. You go all the way around. Okay, you go all the way around. And the reason why you do that is because it's a funnel. Is because they've arranged the groceries in a natural way that allows you, or that pushes you, or that motivates you, or that compels you to go around the grocery store in a way that you don't think about. Literally, that is a funnel, and nobody sees it. The way that they put the little items like the peanuts and the little stuff, close to the cashier, the little items that you could just grab, that's a funnel, that's an upsell. That's an upsell. You come to the store, and some of them might even put a little refrigerator, Bobby, close to the cashier. So it's like, "Oh, I'm thirsty now. I've gone around the store. I'm thirsty now. I don't want to go all the way back to get a drink. Oh, here's a little refrigerator right there. Grab the little drink. Okay, that's a funnel. But you don't think about it as a funnel because these marketers have mastered human psychology. And that sort of gets into copywriting, which is my thing. Okay. Now, unfortunately, we might have to get into maybe a copy class another day. We don't have time right now. We're at the top of the hour. But guys, as you go through your day today, I want you to start thinking about what are some of the actions that you're taking that you are naturally compelled to take that you don't even think about. Because truth be told, everything in society, from the banks, from KFC, from Chick-fil-A, from all of these things, like there's a reason why you go around in like in a drive-through. There's a reason why there's like, I don't know if your drive-throughs have this, Bobby, but some of them have like bars on the side and stuff like that. You can't really get out. It's a conveyor belt. You can't really go back because there's a vehicle behind you. So now you have to proceed. But how do you proceed without, you can't just drive past the window. You have to order something. So nobody goes through a drive-through and doesn't buy anything. It's 100% conversion rate through a drive-through. It's a funnel, but you don't see that. Now, if you want to learn more about this, join us tomorrow. Okay, join us tomorrow for Breakfast with the Brand. I'm going to be talking more about these naturally conversion type funnels that are all around you that you don't necessarily see, but that people like me see because we are masters of human psychology. Thank you so much, guys. Have a phenomenal day. This has been Breakfast with the Brand. Let's grow.